Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Come off mute, Kevin. What's up, Cavs fans? Welcome to another edition of The Block, the Shot to Stop. Here with Skylar Webker, I'm Kevin Lynch. No Cavs game tonight, Skylar, but how we doing? We surviving otherwise?
We survived. That's a great term. We survived the gap since our last show on Wednesday. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to start. So since our last show, the Cavs had a very disappointing effort Thursday night in a 126-113 loss to the Toronto Raptors, and then just yesterday they got a come from behind win against the Memphis Grizzlies, 108-100. We're gonna go into those games. We got a couple of topics we want to talk about off the top. And Skylar, I did some digging into kind of something that we've talked about and put some stats behind kind of the offensive struggles that the Cavs have had. And I've kind of narrowed it down to two things. And the first, I'll start with the first thing is the Cavs just are not attacking the basket nearly as much as they did last year off of the drive. A lot of people point to Darius Garland barely being available this year. That's true. You can also point to Ty Jerome not being here anymore. That's true. He was instrumental in that last year. But to put stats behind it, last year the Cavs were in the top 5 most of the year in drives to the basket. They finished 6th, but that tailed off right at the end of the year. This year they are 27th. Hearing that, does that stat disparity, does it surprise you? And other than the couple of guys I mentioned, any other thoughts on why this might be so stark compared to last year?
I think the part that surprises me is that they aren't more aggressive into it. And I think a lot of it has to do with guys trying their best to avoid getting injured or being injured. I mean, you look at guys like Lonzo Ball, with his injury history has been well documented. So a guy like that's not trying to drive and draw fouls and possibly be hurt. Sam Merrill's not a drive to the hole guy. You'd like to see more of that from guys like DeAndre Hunter. We've talked about how his 3-point shooting has dramatically spiked up. And then like you said, that Darius Garland hasn't been available, and he's kind of our key guy in that. But you wonder how much of that he's going to be willing to do coming off of that nasty toe injury.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so Donovan Mitchell attacks the basket a lot, but he does it primarily to score. It's not that he doesn't set up assists, but he's one of the best players in the world at like driving the basket and scoring, and you want him to do that. But so he drives the basket about 11 times a game. If you take out Garland, he's barely played. If Mitchell's at 11, then there's like 4 guys all tied around 3 drives per game. That's it. And we talked about you're missing Garland. He also last year drove to the basket about 11 times a game. Ty Jerome drove to the basket about 9 times a game last year. So that's like 20 drives a game you're missing just between those 2 guys. But you have to like adjust somehow, right? You either have to find other guys who are willing to kind of fill those roles or adjust the offense, knowing that you're not going to get to the basket off the drive a lot, and whether that's play more through the post, high-low, things like that. So the second part, and I want to start with the drive because I do think that's a key component. The second part is we documented on the last podcast that the Cavs shoot the most threes in the NBA, and it's not even close. They're more than 2 a game at 47 attempts a game. Well, despite averaging the most threes in the league and 5 more threes a game than last year, they're shooting less threes in the corner, which are like the golden ticket in the NBA. That is the shot you want, as an open corner 3. It's thought of as one of the best quality, high percentage shots in the league. Their corner 3s are down, and their 3s, what they call above the break on the wings and at the top of the key, are way up. And those two things tell me the story. People aren't getting to the basket, and because if they are, they either, take a shot, or they typically kick to one of those corners for an open three when the defense collapses. Now, shooting so many threes up at the top of the offense basically means the ball's just swinging more side to side than actually breaking down the defense.
Yeah, you really can't explain it any better than that. That's all they do, is they just kind of swing the ball around versus letting something collapse, finding the open man. We talked about it last year, how this team was so good when they would pick and roll to the basket, and we don't see a ton of that out of these guys. And granted, a lot of that is Darius Garland's not here. Darius Garland's one of the best at that. Darius Garland's one of the best at driving and finding the open man. So you're getting a guy, and this isn't like the pick on Lonzo episode, but Ty Jerome had history with Kenny Atkinson, playing with him in Golden State, and well documented in that, and coming here and having that continuity and that just history where I would say Lonzo's starting from zero in this coaching scheme and everything like that. We know that he's a great distributor of the ball, but I do think something has to change in this approach, whether it's Lonzo, whether it's Evan Mobley, whether it's DeAndre Hunter. Somebody's got to do something to break down a defense instead of just swinging the ball around the 3-point line and hoping Sam Merrill can maybe get himself free.
Or I agree. You have to find someone who can replace some of what you lose in Garland and Jerome, at least until Garland's back and fully healthy. And maybe they're doing it. You've seen Craig Porter Jr. getting a lot more minutes lately. He has that ability, not to the level of either of those guys, but he's, of the available options, he's one of the better ones. Maybe you have to give Tyrese Proctor more minutes, or maybe you play a little bit more inside out. The strength of your team right now, other than Donovan Mitchell, should be your big guys. I mean, everybody talks about Mobley, obviously Jared Allen. They got other guys, Nae'Qwan Tomlin, we're going to talk about in a second, has been playing well.
Great.
Yeah. Do you try and get the ball more inside and then allow that to, to kind of dictate your offense flow, whether taking to the basket or kicking out for more open threes? So Kenny is an offensive mastermind. He knows everything we're talking about and way more. It's just something that I think they're going to have to make some adjustments to their offensive attack. And I'm kind of interested to see what it is, whether that's rotation based as who's playing, or if it's strategy based and how they go about it. Any other thoughts on this kind of? I know I told you I was going to throw a bunch of stats at you with offensive struggles. Any other thoughts on that before we kind of move on to our one other topic?
Yeah, I think one thing, and just the offensive struggles in general, but I would just say as the team, obviously last year was incredible start, incredible season for the Cavs. So it's hard to not look at this with those lenses on. But I will say that last year, the team felt that they had something to prove in the sense of playoffs and being as good as what they're supposed to be. Where this year, I feel like the sense of we've proved it. Now we're going to sleepwalk our way through the season and just get to the playoffs. A lot of what you saw when Golden State was always going to the playoffs, they kind of just sleptwalk through the season. And to a point, yes, the Cavs can do that a little bit, but I mean, they shouldn't. They should still have their foot on the gas as much as possible. Like I said, we know that they're saving up for the playoffs. We know that they're going to be in that conversation or in the playoffs at the end of this, but you got to do a lot of work ahead of that time to be ready to go and not get jumped by the Indiana Pacers.
For sure. I hope that doesn't happen this year with the way Indiana looks, but this Cavs team hasn't won enough yet to sleepwalk.
I agree.
If OKC was sleepwalking a little bit, if Denver was sleepwalking a little bit, those teams definitely aren't, but you could write that off a little bit. The Cavs had a fantastic regular season this year. They've kind of disappointed in the playoffs a few years in a row now. And with the roster turnover this year, it's enough of a new team. I don't think they've earned the right to sleepwalk, and I don't necessarily think they are. I don't think it's like, a conscious thing. If anything, I think they're more struggling than sleepwalking right now, trying to figure out how to succeed with what they have. Um, that actually is a good transition into one new thing that actually is working for the Cavs, and that is our friend Nae'Qwan Tomlin. We highlighted him during the summer league and thought that he could be a guy that really has a place in this Cavs rotation this year. He's kind of getting his first real chance these last 3 games. He had, I have them all here, 9-16 against Miami, and that like surprising win on the 12th. Toronto, he played great. He was 18-6. Not as much in the stat column in the Memphis game, but definitely thought you felt his impact with hustle. He had a couple big blocks on the defensive end. This guy has talent, and he is like, his energy levels off the charts. Like, he could rival Jaylon Tyson with some of the energy plays that he makes for this team. And I think there's a role for him. I mean, we love him, but Larry Nance Jr. has been struggling to kind of find his footing with this team. They haven't really seemed like Thomas Bryant is a good option. And I think this guy could be in the rotation to stay, at least, at least for the time being. What about you?
No, I agree. I think he's just we talked about it ad nauseum during the playoffs, but Indiana had guys that just acted like they wanted to be there. They wanted to be on the court, and Jaylon Tyson gives that energy. Nae'Qwan Tomlin gives that energy. Now, both of those guys can get their fouls down,
Yeah.
but like you said, he doesn't have like the standout stats in that Memphis game, but I felt Nae'Qwan Tomlin on the court. Just the defensive prowess that he gave alongside Evan Mobley was incredible. Having 2 guys in the paint there that can get a block, get 2 blocks, like not allow easy baskets. On top of the offensive numbers that he's also producing, I mean, it's hard to not say this guy deserves to be there, because what he gave you all in summer league, which was an incredible run, by the way,
Yep.
is starting to find its way onto the court this season. And if you can get a guy like that for as little as you're paying them, like, that's a huge value add, whether you try to flip him at the deadline or if you keep him on for your playoff rotation. Like, this guy is adding value to this team.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. A couple things. The fouls, you couldn't be more right about that. He's averaging like 1 foul every 3 minutes he's in the game, which is just an incredible pace. Other than that, this is a bit of a crazy statement. He might be the best pound for pound rebounder on this team. And they have other good rebounders, though they are kind of a disappointing rebounding team when you look at the stats. He averages a rebound every 3.5 minutes he's in the game. If you factor that for reference, Evan Mobley averages a rebound every 5 minutes he's in the game. So if they do a lot of projection with stats for guys who don't play a lot, they call it per 36. If he were to play 36 minutes, he's averaging like 12, 13 rebounds a game. That's elite. And I think he definitely has size and athleticism, but I think he also is very smart with his positioning. And then, as we talked about, his effort, a lot of rebounding can come down to effort. I think he has a place in this rotation. I jokingly said before the year that Nae'Qwan Tomlin was going to turn Larry Nance Jr. into Tristan Thompson. And I meant that because I think the potential with Tomlin is much higher than what Nance can give you. As much as I like Nance and think there could be a role for him on this team, I think Tomlin's potential is honestly just kind of a chameleon as far as what you need him to do and who you need him to play with. I think he could play with Evan Mobley very well because he can space the floor, obviously much better than Jared Allen. He can take on a variety of defensive assignments, but I also think for the same reasons he could play with Jared Allen and give them balance to be kind of a 3-man big man rotation where you don't have a lot of fall off when Jarrett or Evan is out of the game or not playing that night, for instance. But I don't know, man. I see it with this guy. I think I'm not saying he'd be a star in the league, but I think he can be a consistent contributor on this team. And we said it about Jaylon Tyson. We were darn right about that. So I like our chances.
It's almost like we know ball, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, to me, the standout and the reason that he is as successful, and it does come a lot down to effort, but he's playing like a guy trying to find his footing in the league.
Yep.
And that guy is going to play way harder and maybe too hard in the foul category. I mean, 18 minutes, 5 fouls.
Yeah.
Pretty good ratio there.
Yes.
But that high energy, high effort, like he's playing for way more than just a win on the court. He's theoretically playing for his career every night.
Yeah, and I will say the one thing about the 18 or the 5,018 minutes, he actually got his 5th foul after only playing 12 minutes and played 6 minutes of the 4th quarter without fouling out. I assumed he would. He got his 5th foul at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, but still contributed in that game. All right, well, let's use that to kind of roll into the games, and might not spend a long time on this Toronto game, or maybe we will. We'll see. But yeah, so Cavs lose to the Raptors 126-113, second double-digit loss to the Raptors this season. Donovan Mitchell had a good, if not inefficient game. He stood out. He had 31 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Best thing he did is, as we talked about, attack the basket to the tune of getting 17 free throw attempts, making 15 of them. He was pretty good, and we already discussed Nae'Qwan. Any other good from this game you want to mention before we get to
Not really. This game,
yeah.
This game was a stinker.
I thought Craig Porter Jr. had another solid game. He had 10 points, 5 assists, 4-6 shooting. I thought he was solid again after having a really good game in Miami game the night before. But other than that, all right, well then I'll pivot to you. What's the bad thing you want to bring out of this game?
I mean, with a team that has the big men that the Cavs do, you should not be getting out rebounded by 2/3 of the league. Yeah. Let alone the Toronto Raptors. You should not be getting out rebounded by these guys.
Yep. It's a tough one. And it seems to be becoming a consistent problem. And you would think, but not only between the two big guys, but you would think at the very least the Cavs would be an above average rebounding team, and they're kind of been a below average rebounding team for the start of this season. My bad is, unfortunately, it's Evan Mobley. 7 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Even worse than the 7 points, only 7 shot attempts in 35 minutes. This is why Evan Mobley is not a superstar yet. This is why he's a very good player that we keep waiting to become a superstar. Superstars don't only take 7 shots in a game if they play 35 minutes, and typically don't score 7 points either. We've talked about his inconsistency, usually even within a game, quarter to quarter, rotation to rotation. This, to play that much and only get 7 shots, you can make excuses all you want about, Garland not being there and not getting set up enough and everything. If you're going to be a superstar, if you're going to be a top 10 player in this league, you got to find a way to get more than 7 points when you're playing 35 minutes a game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what we said. All right, this is the next step of Evan Mobley. Can be consistently good all the time. Don't fade away in the back half of a playoff game. Don't have your presence unfelt. That's definitely like the next step or the next thing on the checklist. But like, look at Donovan Mitchell. Even on a team's horrible night, he still is getting 18 shots, 31 points, being what he needs to be. I understand there's only one ball. Yeah. Only one person can shoot at a time, but man, when everything's clicking, everybody's able to get kind of that offensive rhythm and all that kind of shooting volume. I will say the other piece that I dislike in this game is the Cavs 3-point shooting.
Sure.
41 shots, only made 10 for a 24%. You out 10 more shots than Toronto because they had 31 and they shot almost 40% from their three.
Yep.
So you're putting up like we let in, like you're putting up not great looks from the top of the key, from the top of the arc versus like getting corner threes, breaking down a defense, driving to the hole. I will say they got to the free throw line a lot better than Toronto, but it's still not enough if you're getting out rebounded and out, just quite frankly, out quality shot.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. Disappointing and just a weird week because the Cavs lose the first one in Miami and then this one in Toronto, which seemed to be the two games they were gearing up for because they rested a lot of guys and that's the second half of the Miami game. Well, they get that one when half the team is on the bench, but then they lose that first game in Miami. It got crazy game. And then they kind of threw up a stinker here on the first game of a 6-game homestand against and Toronto is playing really well. I think they're towards the top of the conference. I want to say they've won like 6 or 7 now or something like that. So they're playing well. It's not, but like you look up and down the rosters, it's a team that the Cavs should not have 2 double-digit losses against early in the season. All right, well, let's pivot to something a little bit nicer, and that's the Memphis game yesterday. As I said, Cleveland won 108-100. A lot of different storylines in this game, but the main one is Cavs were not good again through the first 3 quarters. As a matter of fact, Memphis outscored them each of the first 3 quarters. They were up 8 going into the fourth, and then the Cavs played one of their better quarters of the season in the fourth. They outscored Memphis 32-16. Led by Donovan Mitchell, had 14 points in the fourth quarter alone. Evan Mobley had 8 and 7 in the fourth quarter. And most interesting, this is the first game I can ever remember, not saying it hasn't happened, but the first time I ever remember that both Mitchell and Mobley played the entire fourth quarter. Kenny broke from his regular rotation. Usually those guys each sit for at least 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. But Kenny, it was almost like Kenny said, enough of this. We can't lose to another bad team. You guys go out there and find a way to win this game.
Yeah, and it worked because, I mean, if you didn't watch the first 3 quarters and you just watched the fourth quarter, you would say that was probably a game of the year candidate because it was good basketball up and down the court. It was great defense, suffocating defense. I mean, Nae'Qwan Tomlin with 2 huge blocks, a steal. Evan Mobley with 4 blocks on the night. I mean, the defense was stout. And then you had Donovan Mitchell absolutely taking over. I mean, he hit 3 threes in a row and then kept driving to the hole. He got a steal. Like, the momentum of the game was just so fluid and just kept building. Like, it was incredible to watch. Yeah, I really wish I didn't watch the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I thought the fourth quarter was awesome to watch, and it was great to get a win, but it shouldn't have come down to that. If the Cavs were just playing anywhere close to their capability, it wouldn't have come down to that. One of the key storylines, Ja Morant went out in the second quarter with a calf injury. He only played 6 minutes. So you think of a Memphis team minus Ja Morant. Ty Jerome hasn't played this year. Scottie Pippen Jr. is injured. They're literally on their 4th string point guard after Morant goes out. It was Zach Edey's first game of the year, I believe. And he had a solid game for first game of the year. You would just think, again, you like look at the names on the rosters and you're like, the Cavs are a lot more talented. They should usually beat this team. So great to get a win, especially when the Cavs have had having uneven performances, but you'd kind of like to not have to put on the cape in the fourth quarter in a game like this.
Yeah, and I mean, for reference, the Memphis Grizzlies are 4-10. They're having an atrocious start of the year. Obviously, they're just snake bitten with the injury bug, and then they kind of have some storyline drama going on outside of that as well. Sure. But Cleveland, should not be struggling against Toronto, but you shouldn't be struggling against the very, very injured, hadn't played a single game all year with their full staff Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah. I agree with that. So let's kind of move into a bad and a good for this one. I'll kick this one off with the good. I mean, we talked about Mitchell and Mobley. They're the storyline. They both ended up with really good games propelled by their fourth quarter performances. Um, my good is I had a couple, but I'm going to go with like the fact that Jared Allen played over 25 minutes. I think that this team, especially right now, they need him. Kenny keeps going away from him in the rotation in certain games. I think they need to lean into the two big guys things. I understand that sometimes he wants to play around with just Evan at the 5 and a little bit more versatility in the lineup. Those lineups have not produced very well this year, and you got to kind of play to what the strengths of your team are right now. And Jared Allen is a part of your strength. He had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and in only 26 minutes, I thought he was very impactful on the defensive ends. Just really another good game by Jared when he's getting consistent minutes. And I hope this is a sign of things to come, that he's going to regularly get back to 25, 30 plus minutes a game virtually every night.
I hope so. It's hard to see maybe 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Just because Kenny does not like going to Jared Allen in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think he's just like a model of consistency when he's given the opportunity to be.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like I said, I wouldn't go all the way to 35, but I'd like to see him hover around the 30-minute mark. Because he's playing really well. The times that he's not playing well, I feel like is if he kind of gets left out, whether it's left out of the rotation or left out of the offense, he just goes, 5, 6, 7 possessions without even touching the ball on offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's when those are the games that he seems to not be playing as well. But majority of the time, he's been one of the more consistent people on this team, in my opinion. And I think that's a strength of the Cavs that they need to lean into right now, especially while they're, struggling with some injuries and frankly struggling with some performance, as we discussed.
Yeah. And I have two goods. I want to start with Evan Mobley. Obviously a great rebound game after that.
Yep.
Devastating Toronto game.
Yeah.
But to give you 22 points, 13 rebounds with 4 assists and 4 blocks, I mean, that's defensive player. That's the defensive player of the year, Evan Mobley, that we like to see. And then my second one, I won't go Nae'Qwan Tomlin because I know we kind of went off on him already. But I like what I saw from Lonzo as well. He gave you 9 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals, and 2 pretty good steals there to kind of close out the game. So I love seeing that. Like I said, we don't need 30 points from Lonzo, but can you give me 9, 7, and 5 or just those effort things? And that really helps, especially in that fourth quarter and honestly just coming down the stretch.
Yeah. One other real quick, and then I'll go to you for your bad. I just like the way Sam Merrill played in this game. He's had his first couple of, not great shooting performances the last couple games he had played. And while this one wasn't, he was 5 of 9. Great. What I loved in the fourth quarter, he was 3 for 3, all on 2-pointers. And I want Sam shooting a lot of threes. Don't get me wrong on that. But I do think when he at least gets some of those 2-pointers, it's usually because there's a run out. He made a really good cut to the basket or something like that. Him making a few 2-point shots, I think is a good indicator for this offense or how this team is playing. And the fact that, he had a pretty good game overall and, didn't shoot 16 shots all from the 3-point line like he did the other nights, I think is a good thing. I want him shooting he averages 8 threes a game. I would love to see him shoot 8 threes a game, but if he shot 4 2-pointers too, usually off of fast breaks, off of cuts, off of things like that, maybe an occasional pump fake into a floater or something, I think that would be a good thing for this offense.
Yeah. I mean, God, anything to add a wrinkle to this offense.
Sure. Yep.
Anything you got to do, whether it's Jared Allen shooting threes. I don't know. I just do something.
Okay. I'd probably table that one for now, but all right. Any bads that you kind of noticed coming out of this game?
Yes. Jaylon Tyson's concussion, missing 3 games now. Is this something a little more serious that we should be a little more concerned on, or should we expect any extended time or more time? They haven't really given any further information about
That
this.
that's true. They haven't. But I was thinking about, like, we think of concussions mostly because of football, and if a guy gets a concussion, he's out the next week and usually back the following week. So my thought was, if as long as he's back within a 10-day to 2-week period, I wouldn't worry too much about it. That, at least in my experience with concussions, was mostly football. That's like that seems to be the kind of generic timeline. So I would probably give it a few more days. We're at exactly a week now because I think it happened last Monday night. So if we don't hear anything by middle to end of this week, then I'd kind of get in there with you and speculating is something else going on. But hopefully that's all it is, and they're just making sure he's 100% good before he comes back to the court.
I hope so, and I'm trying to not put it in the football context. Obviously, football is a much higher impact sport than basketball. Still don't even know where this concussion came from, but
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Go
The
ahead.
other thing I wanted to put out was Larry Nance, man. Only 5 minutes.
Yep.
Really seems like he's losing his footing in this rotation, especially if you have this ascension from Nae'Qwan Tomlin. Man, that was one of the guys that we really wanted to get in this offseason, and we were able to bring him home. But man, it's rough right now.
Yeah, it is. I think there's very much still a role for Larry Nance Jr. on this team. I think what this team needs maybe at this specific moment is something a little bit different. Larry Nance isn't going to offer you like shot creation or,
Mhm.
or that kind of stuff in the offense where, he's a solid but not spectacular rebounder. Like he's athletic, but not especially athletic. So his biggest thing is how good of a 3-point shooter he has become. But as we started the show off with, if they're not getting high quality looks from threes and everything, that kind of negates some of his value. Right. And so I think Larry Nance Jr. will be really good on this team when the offense is humming, but when the offense isn't humming, maybe you need to look, for different options. And it seems like that's what Kenny's done for a couple of games now. And I'm sure Larry will find his way back into the rotation. And I think this is more a temporary than permanent thing. But yeah, no, you're right. He's definitely struggled some. So my bad from the Memphis game. Memphis shot 11 more free throws, and that's with John Morant only playing, 6 minutes, as we discussed. This team, again, we start off the show with lack of. The more you go to the basket, the more you're going to get fouled. That's why Donovan Mitchell leads this team in free throw shooting by a crater. But Memphis doesn't have the greatest shot creators or attack the rim guys outside of Morant's also, but they still found a way to get 40 free throws in the game. While the Cavs only got 29, they only hit 19, 65%. So I know you've highlighted, the efficiency from the free throw line, and kind of on top of that, some of these games, they're just not getting there enough because they're not putting pressure on the defense to make them foul them. So, another thing I think I'm going to look at some games going forward. What is, the foul discrepancies, and even more so, what is the free throw? Because like, if you get fouled out on the perimeter, that's great, but it's not like impactful. Anytime you get fouled that it causes you to get to the free throw line, that's typically a very good thing for an offense. It's usually the easiest way to get points. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, these games this week that we're going to preview here in a couple minutes. Because I think the Cavs have enough talent that they should be a plus in free throw attempts virtually every game, except against the Lakers, because the Lakers always lead the world in free throws attempts.
Way to have a asterisk on that.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's transition to kind of looking ahead these couple games coming up. So the Cavs have tomorrow night, Monday night the 17th. They play the Bucks. This is a continuation of their 6-game homestand. So they'll be halfway through the homestand with this Bucks game Monday night. Then they got the Raptors coming in Wednesday night, which will be right before we next go live. So let's start with the Bucks game. We've seen them once this year. The Cavs played pretty well, beat them fairly handily. It was one of those. was a perfect game for me because I got to see Giannis play, and Giannis was awesome, but the Cavs won the game handily. That's exactly what I'd love to happen again Monday night. Any thoughts on this this game against Milwaukee? Anything in particular you look for?
If Giannis plays right now, he's a game time decision. So we'll see if Giannis plays. I guess they're going to consider Giannis out, but they have the Cavs at a 78% win percentage.
Okay.
So you like that. I think you'd like to keep what you had in that fourth quarter of the Memphis game.
Yeah.
Have a good rhythm, attack the basket, be stout on defense, because Milwaukee, they're good, but I think they're good because of Giannis. I don't really like a ton of people on their team outside of Giannis, to be quite frank.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. Like Giannis is at like 33 points a game. The next guy on their team is like Ryan Rollins at 16. Like he's literally averaging twice as many points as anybody else on the team. It is kind of a Giannis and the Misfits type team, but they're playing well enough. They're like in the big clump of teams in the East that have like 5 losses. And so, if Giannis plays, I'll never say it's an easy game when you go up against a guy like that. If he doesn't play, I wouldn't like. I love to see him play, but from a Cavs fan perspective, I wouldn't necessarily hate that. But yeah, I mean, you would like to see them use something like a 6-game homestand to get on track. They don't have any back-to-backs for a while. They should be able to, play everyone that's healthy all these games. And so, I certainly hope that you, as you said, highlight not only the performance, the defense. I mean, holding any NBA team to 16 points in a quarter is phenomenal, and the effort more than anything. You saw, they looked a little bit desperate for the first time this year. I thought that, and you kind of felt that by, Kenny playing Donovan and Evan the whole fourth quarter. So yeah, would love to see a duplication of that fourth quarter effort. And then Wednesday night, they play the Houston Rockets for the first time this year. For anybody living under a rock, Kevin Durant is now a Houston Rocket. He is playing Kevin Durant basketball. He is playing as well as ever. Alfred Şengün, I hope I pronounced his name wrong because he's like my least favorite player in the league, is having an unbelievable all-star level type season. Really, really good. And the Houston team is good. They're right where everyone thought they would be, third place in the West, right behind OKC and Denver. Anything you'd be excited about by seeing this Houston team for the first time and our Cavs matching up with them?
I cannot wait, because this will be the first team that they've seen really all season that's got that championship talent aspirations, like an OKC, like a Rockets.
Yeah. I'd say other than the Knicks opening night, I would say, but otherwise I agree. They certainly have aspirations, I would say.
Well, every team should have aspirations, sure, but I think the Rockets actually have the talent to get there.
Sure. I agree. This Rockets team is super talented. Not only Durant and Şengün that I mentioned, but then they have just a horde of super athletic, really good wing players that we have to give the Cavs fits. The one area where the Cavs frankly should have an advantage is the point guard spot. Again, if anybody doesn't know, Fred VanVleet, their primary point guards, out for the season. They're trying to work in Reed Shepherd with to that role with like mixed results. I think this will be a tough matchup for the Cavs in a lot of areas, but they don't have the super quick break down the defense guard that frankly can give the Cavs trouble a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And so I actually see this kind of being a potentially ugly defensive, low 100s game than kind of what we're used to seeing from Cavs games. All right, Skylar. Well, with that, we can close out our show as we do every Sunday night with we share one nice thing. This is there's enough mean, bad things on the internet, and share something nice that either we personally experienced or a story we heard about. So with that, Skylar, the floor is yours. Give me one nice thing.
Yeah. So I am a horrible workaholic. I have a very good work ethic, which has led to me not taking PTO days, and my PTO days, some rolled over, but I couldn't let them all expire or anything, so had to take PTO this week. I felt I legitimately felt like a hockey player in the penalty box, man. Like I was very bad at it, but I don't know, just detaching a bit, getting to spend time with my wife and my son, and doing a lot of things around the house. It was a good break that I definitely needed, that I would not admit that I needed. So the good thing, it would be taking the PTO, don't be a workaholic like me. Don't have 1,000 side hustles and a main job and house responsibilities and think about pick up a bartending job. Like, take time for yourself, take time for those around you. In my field, I'm not curing cancer, so nobody's gonna die if I'm not at work. So take the time. That would be my nice thing.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing. There's very few things better than, putting a pause on your responsibilities and just be able to be present. So I think that's a great thing. I actually have two nice things that I'll do very quickly because they're kind of interlinked. First and foremost, I love it when good people who usually don't get recognized that much get recognized. I have my coworker and close friend Tara. She basically won the MVP of our department, won President's Club, and gets a free vacation. So I wanted to give her a shout out because she absolutely earned it. She picked up some slack for me. It allowed me to be on paternity leave and has done so for so many others. And it's been a huge part of the success that the division of my company has had. So I wanted to give shout out to Tara because, she absolutely earned it. The other thing is Friday night, as I've said before, my daughter started kindergarten a couple months ago. We did kindergarten parents night out, and I've met a lot of the kindergarten parents for the first time. We're all out mingling together, having drinks, and such a great group. And there's something to be said about like the communities you inherit or that you acquire, I should say, throughout your life. And whether that be, coworkers of yours, or in this case, other families that we all get thrown together because our kids go to the same school. We happen to live in the same neighborhood. And when those hit and they're great, and you end up with not only a good coworker, but a good friend, or you end up with a friend when you're just because your daughter's in school with another person's kid as well. That there's something to be said about the people you kind of meet along the way in life, and they kind of come into your circles and everything. And it's kind of like we're right at the beginning of starting another one of those circles. And it was really cool. I even stepped back for a minute and wasn't talking to anybody, and watching everyone else mingle, and just like this is going to be our little community for the next 12, 13 years that our kids are all in school together, and watching basically the seeds of that happen in real time was really, really cool. And I've experienced that a lot of different times in my life. But this being the newest, it was a really cool thing to see.
That's awesome. I can't wait for that. That's awesome.
Yes. So for that, I'll as always want to thank everyone for listening. Please, if you haven't already, find us on all of our social media outlets. Please subscribe to the podcast on the audio version. Watch us here at playback on YouTube, and like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I'm so bad at mentioning all that. I'm glad Skylar puts it in the notes to remind me. And we appreciate all of you. We've gotten some really great numbers this month, and probably in part because we have live basketball, but in part because we're picking up a few new people listening. It seems like every week, and we appreciate. Welcome. Hopefully we'll try and keep this fun and light and somewhat, I don't know, intelligence when it comes to basketball. But for Skylar Webker, I am Kevin Lynch. And as always,
go Cavs.